The last thing we have with this chapter is just common sense stuff for trying to figure out, is it fact? Is it fiction? Is it BS? Okay. The best thing that you can do is always go to scientific journals. And that's sometimes not easy to do. There are a lot of them now that are open access. All you got to do is have access to a library. Okay. Get a library card. Doesn't cost anything. And you can get access to a lot of this stuff after you're done here. When you're here at MCC, use the damn library. That's what it's there for. Okay. You get free access to a lot of stuff. There's a lot of scientific journals within that library database system. So it's a great way to figure out, okay, is what I'm hearing by this social media person really legit? I'm going to go here and I'm going to search that up. And you can see a bunch of stuff. It's great. It's fantastic. Okay. If you're reading an article and it is simply just oversimplistic, then you know you're not reading the scientific journal, right? You just know you're not. When you don't understand like every fifth word, that's when you know you got a scientific journal on your hand. There's a brand new, oh, cool. Little public library there off Colburn Road. Super nice, sweet, cool. So go check it out, man. It's probably quiet. You can even study a little bit there too. But if the information is super simplistic or it's over sensationalized, if all of a sudden you read the article or you see the tagline, it's like, you know, coffee causes cancer, you know, the meme of shaking the hand, right? Then you know, okay? If they've oversimplified it, you know they've left out important stuff. And it's easy to look at some of these articles and realize, okay, they took one little portion out of here and they didn't tell you this little portion that makes that portion nonsense and BS. Read the whole article. Go find it. Read it.
Hey, I actually do have a question. What do you think about the whole like superfood kind of thing, like kale and stuff like that?
Fantastic. Eat it.
All right.
Superfoods, again, you know, it's you don't go down the aisle at the grocery store and find superfoods, right? Superfoods is just a way to point out a lot of these food sources that have an overabundance of what? Nutrients, phytochemicals. The vast majority of all of these things are green leafy vegetables, stuff that contain a lot of great, fantastic fats, non-saturated fats. And that's what all of these foods are. And they're foods that we generally don't get a hell of a lot of in our diet. So, you know, heck yeah, of course they're fantastic. They are super fantastic in that they do provide all those nutrients and not very many calories at all. Fiber, omega-3s, anything that has a lot of phytochemicals and vitamins and minerals in it, vegetables. Those are always fantastic things. Now, do I subscribe to a specific, you know, super diet or superfoods diet? No, but I have a buttload of vegetables in my diet that I just choose to have. So if you don't have it, try it. You know, kale's an acquired taste, but you know, you render it down and it goes down just as well as spinach or anything else. Oh, let's kind of get going here. Who's responsible for this? You are. Well, I mean, we have the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. Okay. They help with food labels. That's what they do. That's what the next chapter is. Next chapter looks at that aspect. They can't prevent the spread of misinformation. Okay. Which this is really what makes it difficult. There was an interesting article, and I cannot remember if it was this research article, this magazine I was reading the other day. It has a bunch of research articles in it. Or if this was on the news, I cannot remember. But they were talking about it's difficult for children, kids in high school, to try to parse out and figure out misinformation, truth from misinformation. And they were talking about some crazy things too. And I don't want to say what they said on the news or what I read, because I just don't want to go down that rabbit hole with you guys. But they talked about how stuff being presented to children on social media platforms, TikTok and stuff like that, and how they present it in such a way that, it comes across as being truthful, being factual, when, it's all in how you present it, I guess. And so this is really hard, seeing that we are responsible for understanding and being able to question that information, and research on our own. I mean, unless you know where to go and where to look, you don't know if the information is accurate enough. If you don't know where to go, if you don't have the ability to access the scientific journals to be able to go and prove it, and again, this takes time. And this is where we're in with a lot of things in society. It's difficult. It's difficult. And I took one step on my soapbox, but I stepped back down. And we have to be able to figure out how that is. How? Well, go to the library, like I said. Easiest place. Those people went to college to be able to help you look up books, look up magazines. Let them regale you with their knowledge. Okay. I'm sure they're exciting people, but let's make their life more exciting. Go to the library, ask for some help. It'll brighten their day. It'll make you feel better too. What else can you do besides going to the librarian and making her feel good about herself or him about himself? Well, ask questions. And I have a list of kind of stuff that you should do there. Look for red flags. What the hell are those? There are a few things that you should look for. Use the internet wisely. Oxymoron, I know, but there are a few sites that you can go to find reliable information. And the vast majority of it is a wasteland. Read more reliable literature. Men's Health, not reliable. Women's Digest, not reliable. They're not scientific journals. They've taken out parts and pieces of an article and made it into theirs. Given they take the biggest bullet points out of it and extrapolate it out to their audience. So let's look at some of these things. These are some of the things that you should ask. Does it make a good essay question? Yeah, I guess it does, but I've never asked it as that. I've asked it as a number of multiple choice questions, okay? Be able to figure out who's the author. What is their background? What are their credentials? Are they a research person? Do they have a master's or doctorate degrees or research doctorate degrees in these topics? That's the big one. At least for me, it is. Those that have extensive amount of study degrees, exercise physiologists, okay? Those that have certain types of degrees, that's what I kind of look for. That's what I try to look for. Or individuals who have 30 years in the industry of sound principled stuff. That's what I look for. Promoters, sponsors, who's providing this information? Are they selling stuff? If they're selling something, hey, you shouldn't consume milk because it causes you to get verklempt inflammatory response and for you to have cancer and die. You want to know how I know? Read my book. It's an e-text. You don't even have to worry about it coming in the mail to you. You can download it for $19.99. That sounds cheap as hell. Let's do it. If they're selling stuff, you know what their motivation is. Who's the source? .com? Should probably look somewhere else. .gov. And I think I have some sites on the next page. I have some sites. .edu, .org. These are generally much hell of a lot more responsible than .coms. Okay. Sometimes if you read some .coms, you're like, damn, this is pretty interesting stuff. Go down to the bottom, or go to the information page, usually at the very, very bottom in really, really tiny print. You can see who is backing this information, who has funded this information, who's the author of this information. And sometimes that can be very eye-opening. Here are some websites: the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, National Osteoporosis Foundation, the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, the FDA, the National Institutes of Health, the National Institutes of Health, the NIH. That is a, fantastic website. It has, if you just, Google something in the realm of science or health, in this case, in this class, nutrition, and just put NIH behind it, oh man, it gives you the links to some of the website, some of the pages within the National Institutes of Health's website. They have so many articles, so many research articles. When they're telling you and explaining stuff, man, they do a fantastic job of citing everything with current or some of the most relevant scientific research to date with this information. Even if there's stuff that's going on new, they'll mention it, be like, we can't really necessarily sign off on this as a treatment, or this is 100% acting all the time, but this is what the new research is starting to show, and it'll make reference to it. So I love the NIH's website because of that, just because it gives so many sources, so many links out the yin yang, some that are really helpful, some that are very simplistic as well. And that's great to help convey information to your child, to your grandma or grandpa, so, or hell, even to your parents, even, for gosh sakes. Look for red flags. And I put some of them in kind of big, bold. I mean, find some that you like and remember them. I mean, for me, these are very tip of the cap, obvious. You see it. You know it when you know it. Scare tactics, the biggest one. Okay. Don't eat this because it's going to cause you to have cancer. And I'll see if I can put up some links to some of these. But there's a couple interesting ones on social media that were pretty interesting that somebody gleaned together and kind of put on. It was pretty funny. But scare tactics is a big one. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Okay. If they promise a quick, easy remedy, if they say this is really easy, man, all I gotta do is take this pill. Lies. If you could just take a pill and everything be cool, we would have no issues in the world, right? It's never easy. Okay? When it comes to losing weight, never easy. Anecdotal information, any type of personal endorsement of a product, generally that is something that they're probably promising something that they can't deliver on. Okay? And all of these things, they can't be evaluated by the FDA. If they're saying, this can help prevent or this can help cure, okay, now the FDA comes in and bam, now we got a lawsuit, and now they're taking that off, and now they're not talking about it. But if they just said, hey, this helps me feel more energized, okay, well, what else were you doing besides taking this pill? Did you go to bed sooner? Did you eat a little bit better? Did you not have 13 sodas in a day? I mean, it could have been a lot of different things. So any type of personal endorsement, that's generally a red flag. Promotes benefits while overlooking the risk. Vague, scientific, soundy like terms. The best example I have of that is, if you remember, I'm old. If you remember In Living Color, do any of you remember In Living Color? Probably not. Some of you are staring at me like, what the hell is this guy talking about? One of the Wayans, oh my God, he was so funny. He was, his character, man, he would take all these big scientific sounding terms and talk about something, and he wasn't even using them in context. That's what you see here with this. Anytime they use scientific sound, like biohacking, hell, that sounds like a fantastic scientific term, right? Biohacking equals put money in my pocket because I'm going to fleece the hell out of you. Masquerading as factual, pseudoscience. If they got disclaimers, results not typical, here's your sign. It's a red flag. Okay. And I know, yeah, a lot of supplements have that. Results not typical. Because you know what? Results are typical with diet and exercise. all the medications that you take to help curb your appetite, to help with fat loss, all of them say in conjunction with diet and exercise. So what's the ultimate way to help your body lose a little weight or gain weight if that's your desire? Diet and exercise. Reliable experts. All of these individuals here are trained. Registered dietitians, probably the most trained. Medical doctors, osteopathic doctors, DCs. All of these individuals have had some kind of training in diet and nutrition, some more than others. All of them are able to figure out the health status of an individual, evaluate their, to diagnose them, determine what their deficiencies are, and be able to plan meals to treat those dietary insufficiencies. That's the great thing about a reliable expert. Sometimes these reliable experts or these people on the internet can be MDs, DOs, DCs, RDs, and be talking funny business. That's where you have to be able to listen to what they're saying. And are they giving scare tactics? Are they trying to sell something? Because if they are, then it's a bunch of hogwash.